Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share with you records that are in my collection that will never leave. These are records that mean the world to me, and I'll share with you the stories of what makes these records so special. To me, this is what vinyl collecting and music love is all about. It's about the memories and these certain special records that we all love. And I'm going to talk to you about my favorites. I want to hear from you what your favorites are. Records that you'll just never part with because they mean too much to you. So let's go ahead and get started with the first one. And I've talked very briefly about this record and why it's important. But I want to share with you, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. And I'm talking about Pink Floyd's The Wall, a very important record, a very special record. And I loved the song Another Brick in the Wall as a little kid. That was the one that was played on the radio, and my mom bought the 45. But you know what was really special is I had a neighborhood kid. I think all of us when we're growing up back in the 70s or whenever we grew up, we had this core little neighborhood group of friends, a little gang that would get together and play. And that was no different for me. And I had this boy that lived right beside our house, and he was a few years older than us. He was what we call the leader of the pack. We all went to his house to play and had a great time. He was older. We all looked up to him. He was our fearless leader, and he would tell us what we're going to play. Sometimes he'd go, okay, we're going to play hide and seek. We're going to play tag. We would bring our Star Wars lightsabers over just in case he wanted to play Star Wars, and then we'd do those little sword battles. It was a lot of fun, and he always dictated what we were going to do, and we all looked up to him. And it was a great time, I really enjoyed it. And one of the things, the connection to the wall, was that sometimes, a lot of us didn't have air conditioning back in the 70s, and we'd have our windows up. Well, sometimes when we were playing outside, the neighbor kid would come in to his house and put on, I think it was an 8-track. Back then you didn't go into your neighbors' houses. The kids weren't allowed to come in. We just all played outside. So I don't know, but I think it was an 8-track. And the 8-track would play through the window, and we would hear it outside of the wall. Let me know if the wall actually came out as an 8-track. I don't know. But I remember hearing the wall at his house and us playing. And, we'd play till dusk until we saw lightning bugs, and we were getting eaten up by mosquitoes, and we were so dirty and sweaty. We'd start hearing the neighborhood, like the moms yelling out, "Scott, come home." And he would leave, it was just kind of one of those things. We'd stay out until our parents yelled for us to come home. And it was a great magical time. And I remember hearing the full album of The Wall being at my neighbor's house. And of course, it's weird because that was probably, when that was going on, that was the later years of our little gang. And unlike when you have a last day of school and you know when that's going to be, and you remember your last day of school, you don't really remember the last time you do something like hang out with your neighborhood friends until it's over, So I don't know when the last time we hung out was. But anyway, we had a great time together, and the wall really brings that all back home. The memory for me to the continuation of it was, of course, as childhood friends do, we often break apart, and I'm friends with some of them on Facebook. And our fearless leader, the guy that really told us everything we were to play, and he was the leader of our gang, he went on. He was an extremely strong, brave person. He joined the military when he grew up. He served in the Gulf War. Sadly, he also had to have a liver transplant at some point in his life. And a few years ago, we reconnected through Facebook Messenger. And he reached out to me. We, chatted a little bit about the wonderful times we had together as kids. We talked about music. He knew I did vinyl videos. And then all of a sudden, I didn't hear from him again. And a few weeks later, I was informed that he had passed away. So the liver transplant that he had to have several years ago, he was having problems with the new liver, and then he got COVID on top of that, and he passed away. I'm so glad I got to reconnect with him. But now, of course, that takes the album The Wall into another level for me. So I remember the childhood friend, and I remember all of the good times. And now I also have to remember that he sadly passed away. He was my first childhood friend other than my sister. And I'm sad that he's no longer here. So The Wall has a great, special place in my heart, and I will never get rid of that record. And it just really means a lot to me. And this next record is one that, and I promise this has a happier ending, you guys. So I want to talk about another one. You know, when we were kids, my sister and I've shared with y'all, we lived with a single mom who had literally no money. But we had great Christmases. I don't know how she pulled it off, but we always managed to have a lot of presents under the tree. And she also got some help from a cousin and great aunt that wanted to help out. So they would buy us Christmas presents too. And there were a few years in my childhood where my dad was married and his wife would buy us Christmas. So it was like a Christmas trifecta going on. And the sad part about that is, you know, my sister and I had these fantastic Christmases, but every year when we were kids, my mom never got Christmas presents, not a one. Her mom died when she was 2. Her dad died when she was 18. She had no sisters or brothers. She didn't get Christmas presents. She always made sure we had a great Christmas. But she didn't get anything for a long time. And I promise this has a happy ending. She finally, at a point where my sister and I were old enough that we had been babysitting long enough, where we had jobs, we were finally able to buy my mom Christmas presents. And I'll never forget her sitting in her chair. And we took a picture of her, and she was surrounded by some Christmas presents. It wasn't anything spectacular, nothing fancy. I think my sister and I went to Walmart to buy them, but this is one of the gifts that I remember we bought her. Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Now, we bought the cassette because we were very practical that way. We wanted something we could listen to in the house and also something we'd listen to in the car. But the music of this reminds me so well of my mom and her finally getting a Christmas present. And that was the one that I really remember more than anything else, was her having the cassette of Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Now, this next record is a reissue that's recently come out from Omnivore Records, and it is fantastic. And it brings back so much, so many great memories. It's Vince Guaraldi, Oh Good Grief. So this is a fantastic record. It's mastered by Kevin Gray, and Omnivore Records did send it my way as a promo copy. But I put this one on. It sounds fantastic. And it just reminded me of some wonderful times back when I grew up, where if you wanted to watch one of the Snoopy specials, whether it was for Halloween, Christmas, Easter, just you name it, you had to watch one of the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. I think it was CBS it was usually on. And you had to know what time and what day it was going to come on. And my mom was always so great about knowing what day those cartoons were going to come on. And every year, my sister and I would watch those specials. So when I hear the music of Vince Guaraldi, I mean, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but the songs that reminds me of all of those wonderful Snoopy and the Peanuts gangs cartoons bring back wonderful memories. So this one is on a beautiful yellow vinyl, and like I said, mastered by Kevin Gray, so it sounds fantastic. I will leave a link below in case you're interested in this Omnivore version of Oh Good Grief by Vince Guaraldi. The Snoopy, I'm so happy that still to this day, Snoopy and the Peanuts gang is very, very popular. It's one of those things that have survived all of these years and absolutely wonderful. So, again, I love that I grew up at a time where we all had to be at a certain place at a certain time. You couldn't just watch these like nowadays. You couldn't watch them anytime you wanted. You had to be in your seat, turned on the TV at a certain time, a certain channel, and then of course go the next day of school and talk about it. That was really special, and it's cool to have the conveniences of today, but I still remember and love the simpler times. So the next records I'm going to be showing, it is an artist you all know very well, and I think we all have an artist or a band where we can say they are the soundtrack of our lives. And as much as I love Van Halen and how many wonderful memories Van Halen albums bring to me, they started a little later, but I have great memories of a certain artist from my earliest childhood days up until college, where he was consistently there for me, bringing music that I loved to hear. And I have memories of different times in my life because of Paul McCartney and Wings. I have a question for y'all, if you leave in the comments. When you put your Paul McCartney collection into your music, do you add Wings with Paul McCartney in the M's, or do you put Wings albums separate from Paul McCartney and put them in the W's? I'd be curious, because I keep Paul McCartney and Wings all together, and I just wondered what you all do. Anyway, this is one of the records. I'm going to never let go of Wingspan. It has so many of those early hits that I love. The song Band on the Run, I think that came out back in 1973. And I still remember my first childhood home back in Santa Claus, Indiana, and hearing that song. I have a deep connection to it. Silly Love Songs was another one that I have a deep connection to. I don't know if that Silly Love Songs was playing at the time this event happened, but I have a vivid memory of Silly Love Songs. When I hear that song, I remember being in the back seat with my sister with the windows partially rolled down in the car, and she was sticking her Ken doll, our Ken doll, out the window like he was flying or something. And my mom got onto her and said, "Get your arm back in the car." And when she did, the Ken doll's arm got caught on the mirror somehow and fell off. And from then on out, our Ken doll just had one arm. I don't know why I have the connection to Silly Love Songs with that memory. Maybe it was playing at the time that happened. That was pretty traumatic for us. But I love that. I love Take It Away. That has a great memory for me because as kids, we did not go on big trips or vacations. But we would occasionally with our youth group get to go somewhere pretty cool. And there used to be a place called Opryland. It was a theme park in Nashville, real close to the Opry, where the Opry Mills Mall is now. It used to be a theme park. Well, we got to go there the year Take It Away came out. And I remember hearing that song by Paul McCartney all the way to Opryland, hearing it several times. And on the way back, I bought a t-shirt from Opryland. And it was thrilling to us to get to do stuff like that. I remember the first day of school wearing my Opryland shirt. I had a story of something I got to do over the summer where other people were going to Florida and traveling and having a good time. I had a great time at Opryland, and I'm so grateful to have that. And I also just remember being in high school and the song No More Lonely Nights being out. This is another one I'll never let go of because this also has, it's Paul McCartney's All the Best. It will always bring back wonderful memories. The song No More Lonely Nights was a high school song that was played at every dance. It wasn't my favorite song, but I remember so well that one being out. And I also have great memories of the song My Brave Face when I was going into college and working at a bakery deli. And hearing My Brave Face on the way to work and back, it was a hit back at that time. That bakery deli job was really hard, but man, it was one of the best jobs I ever had because I learned how to be an amazing baker. I can do wedding cakes, I can do the most amazing homemade cinnamon rolls. I still remember all of the casserole recipes because I used to have to make casseroles, and we sell them by the pound at that deli. It was a great learning experience for me, and I now can cook and bake. It was wonderful. And Paul McCartney, that song just really brings it back home. This is another one that I will never let go of. It's called Pure McCartney. This was given to me so many years ago by Norman Maslov, Mazzy from the Norman Maslov channel. He was very generous and gave this to me, as long as he's also just been very generous over the years with me and very kind. And Paul McCartney Wings, they are the soundtrack of my life, and I'll never forget what Paul McCartney's music means to me. And Eddie Van Halen was definitely the artist that will break my heart the most. When I lost him, there's no comparison, but I will say, and Paul McCartney, the way he's going and how healthy he looks and how great he's doing, he's probably going to outlive me. But if he doesn't, that's going to be another sad day for me, because I grew up with Paul McCartney Wings. They are a part of me, and those are records I'll never let go of. Now, the next records I'm going to show, I would say it's not even as much about the records I'm going to show as much as what it means to me to have them. And I'm talking about, this is the Grateful Dead. This is a mobile fidelity version. I love the album, the artwork, and now I'm starting to kind of like the Grateful Dead. And I got that one. I also got this other Grateful Dead live album that's really, really good. I also got REM's Life's Rich Pageant. This is a record I'd never had before. And Document. Now, I had the original of this, but I personally prefer the sound of this mobile fidelity version. So I showed you those 4 records, but here's really the gist of it and why they mean so much to me. So there's a guy named Michael who watches my channel. He lives somewhere in the vicinity of where I live. I don't really know exactly where he lives, but he always makes funny comments, and they're very witty. Sometimes they're a dad joke. Sometimes they're just so ridiculous. They're lovable. And I post them. I like to pin a lot of his comments so that you all can see them and get a little chuckle too. They usually go well with my video that I have made. And I've got to meet him a couple of times now. And we live close enough that we were able to talk, and I knew he was going to be at one of the stores I went to on Record Store Day. So I got to see him there. He brought those records with him to give to me. He gave them to me in person. He said, I know you will enjoy these records, maybe more than I do. He knew I loved mobile fidelity records. And I didn't have any of these, and I really wasn't even familiar with them. Now I like the Grateful Dead. I like the songs. I like some of the album. The whole side will be just a big jam fest. I enjoy that. I think they're great. And the REM records. I love REM. And now Life's a Pageant was new to me, but I had Document, an original, and I liked it. But I love the sound of this one better. But I will say this, it's not really about those records. It's, to me, when I see these, it just makes me think about how wonderful this moment in time is. I don't know how long I'll be making YouTube videos. There might be something that comes out that's bigger, better than YouTube, and YouTube goes by the wayside like an iPad did, or an iPod, I should say. iPod, you never know. This format might eventually get outdated. I don't know how long I'll be making videos, hopefully a long time, but you never know. I look at these records and it reminds me of the wonderful camaraderie we all share about vinyl records and the relationships I have made just by making these videos. It's been incredible. Michael is just an amazing example of someone. There are people that I haven't gotten like very emotional throughout this video, even though I've shared some emotional stories, but this is going to be the hard one. But there are people who I get to talk to. I don't know you. If we were in the same restaurant, I wouldn't know who you were because we've never seen each other, or at least I haven't seen you. But we talk every single week, and I look forward to your comments and your thoughts and what you think. I live for that. I love it so much. Michael is one of those people, and there's so many of you out there that represent something special to me. It's not, yeah, I like getting records. It's cool. It's fun. But it really isn't about that. You don't have to send me a thing. It's the relationships that I have been able to make through making these videos that have been very, very special and that I won't forget. So thank you, Michael, for giving me those records. But more importantly, thank you to you and to so many people in the vinyl community that I have been able to make a connection with and have a friendship with. It's meant the world to me. So let me know what records are so special in your collection that you will never let them go, and share your stories with me. I love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.